MTG and me, this is Charles, and I want to bring you a deck I've been brewing up for Core Set 19 Standard. Alright, let's go. So if you watched any of the 3 or 4 deck decks I've done in the past, you might have seen one called Dynavolt Alchemist, and that was a pingers deck using Thermo Alchemist and some other pingers that were in Standard at the time. And the concept behind it was just to get the triggers off on the repeatable pingers in order to deal damage directly to your opponent without having to really engage in combat. These kind of combine together to form the current crux, the idea I've got here, which I'm calling PingHarmoNaban. Get it? Pingers, Panharmonicon, and Naban. This gives you a kind of hint of what the deck's built all around. Alright, so once we get into the deck, it's basically a blue-red Wizards deck that leverages the power behind Viashino Pyromancer and Ghitu Journeymage, which both enter the battlefield dealing 2 damage to the opponent. One of the other new cards that was also introduced in Core Set 2019 was Mirror Image. The Mirror Image is a 3-mana clone effect that copies one of your own creatures. So effectively, it gives you your 9 through 12 copy of Ghitu Journeymage or Viashino Pyromancer. So these guys on their own, they may not be enough to close out a game, given that they're fairly small creatures, and the Mirror Image, of course, relies on either one of these creatures being on the battlefield. But what we can do is add some force multipliers in the form of 4 copies of Naban, Dean of Iteration. So what this allows you to do is double up on your Wizards enter the battlefield triggers. So now, if you're able to go turn 2 Naban, Dean of Iteration, turn 3 Viashino Pyromancer, your Pyromancer hits and deals 4 to your opponent right away. And that's a pretty big hit. If you then curve into turn 4 Mirror Image, copying the Pyromancer, and then follow up with something like Shock or Wizard Lightning, you'll actually have given the adversary something like 12 or 13 damage at that point. So to round out the creatures, we're going to play 4 copies of Siren Stormtamer. So Siren Stormtamer gives us some protection by being able to sacrifice it to counter a spell or an ability that targets us or a creature we control. It also counts as that turn 1 wizard drop or an early wizard drop that allows you to curve into Ghitu Journeymage. We're going to play 2 copies of Panharmonicon. Now this is taxing on our mana base insofar as it's a 4-drop and we're only playing 20 lands total. But I think having copies 5 and 6 of Naban to trigger or duplicate those triggers can really help close out that game with a very small creature. Now I'm open to the option or the idea of playing something else in this slot. I mean, there's certainly plenty of other options. One of them, if you're going to go all in, might be something like Illusionist Stratagem. Or maybe you want to round out the deck a little bit more to make it less conditional by throwing in something like Adeliz, the Cinder Wind. But as is, I think the Panharmonicons really stretch that out. Alright, so we're going to play 3 copies of Opt, and what Opt is going to let us do in this case, though we don't get any sort of incremental advantage if we get Adeliz in the deck, it will allow us to scry into our pingers, our Viashino Pyromancer, or our Mirror Image, or our Journeymage, and draw us a card, so that's valuable. We're also going to play 3 copies of Shock. This gives us a little bit of reach and a little bit of creature interaction against our adversaries' creatures. We're going to play 4 copies of Lightning Strike. Again, when your pingers get almost there but not quite finishing the game, Lightning Strike is going to give you the opportunity to just close that out with the additional 3 damage. Then finally, we're going to play 4 copies of Wizard Lightning, which is basically an auto-include in a red Wizards deck, given that it'll cost us 1 mana to deal 3 damage to target creature or opponent. For lands, I think we're really looking for the consistency across both colors. We want to be able to cast those blue spells, particularly Naban, early. So I think we're going to go with something like 4 copies of Sulfur Falls, 4 copies of Spirebluff Canal as our fast lands, then 6 mountains and 6 islands. Now this may not be the optimal land mix, but I think it's a good place to start, and we can certainly adjust these as we go. I don't really want to put together a sideboard for this. I think you can adapt this to your local meta if you want to give something like this a try. But some of the ideas I bandied about were, like I said, Adeliz, the Cinder Wind. Playing Adeliz, in fact, with like Naru, Meha, Master Wizards really shifts the whole deck from being a pinger-centric deck into kind of a fast, aggressive deck. Naru Meha is also nice in that your 1 toughness wizards, if you can land your turn 4 Naru Meha, you can basically block you know, the board wipes that you would get from something like Mono Red with Goblin Chain Whirler. It also provides you the opportunity to play something like Wizard's Retort, which I mean is a blue counterspell. It's pretty powerful. Or a couple Sorcerous Spyglasses to target specific decks or hate decks in your meta. Maybe even some copies of Abrade. In the Maybeboard, I'm really looking at or considering trying out Illusionist Stratagem, maybe as a 1-of or a 2-of. We could probably even put Illusionist Stratagem in place of Panharmonicon, because the simple blink may be a little bit more impactful, and it can also serve in a pinch to actually save your creatures, which Panharmonicon doesn't. So while you won't get to double up or triple up on the triggers associated with your pingers, you may be able to replicate those pings and at the same time save your creature from some targeted removal. So that's the basic idea behind PingHarmoNaban, a red-blue wizard ETB trigger deck for standard core set 19. So what do you think about the deck? Do you think PingHarmoNaban might have some legs? I'd really like to know. If you could leave a comment below, that'd be great. I'd love to discuss the deck further. Alright, thanks for watching.
If you enjoyed the video, you could help us by clicking that like button and leaving a comment. And to support the channel, please click that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for watching!